What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Cold Front Buffalo. The Bills take on the Steelers this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. We are going to highlight some of the keys to the Bills this week. Huge game. With everything that's gone on in the NFL, especially this past Thursday, Friday on Thanksgiving, a lot of changes, a lot of movement in the standings, and a lot of what's up for grabs is being completely thrown in a bag and tossed around every time the pigskin hits the ground. So being that Thanksgiving was so friendly to us, the Chiefs and the Ravens both lost. Chiefs losing to the Dallas Cowboys in a great game, fantastic football game to watch. And then the Ravens losing Thanksgiving's nightcap against the Cincinnati Bengals, potentially the ever-changing Cincinnati Bengals now that Joe Burrow is back on the field. The Ravens really didn't look good. Lamar Jackson. I don't know if he's hurt. He really didn't look good to me, but he's back too. So now the Chiefs are on the outside looking in, and the Ravens are indeed hopeful that the Bills do not take care of business against the Steelers this weekend. But we're going to talk about how they can. The Colts, on the other hand, I don't want to say on the other hand, kind of simultaneously also look horrible with Daniel Jones. A couple of days ago, there was some footage out there of Daniel Jones in practice. He's got something going on with his fibula. I believe it was fracture. I think it was fibula, tibia or fibula. I forget which one. And he looked bad. He was immobile. He was just running through some dry reps, and it was bad. Now, I think he was okay to play this week, but it's not looking too good for the Colts, in my opinion. So right now, there's really no top dogs with the exception of maybe the Patriots. And I know that doesn't sound good for us Bills fans, but the Patriots, in my opinion, are probably the number one seed right now in the AFC. The Broncos, I'm not really too bought in yet on their offense. Their defense, obviously, is almost second to none. They really can pressure the quarterback, get after whoever is behind or under center, and take him down. So other than that, I think the Pats are probably the most well-rounded team at the moment. That's my opinion, but the AFC is wide open. Be sure to subscribe here to Cold Front Buffalo, YouTube, TikTok, a little bit on Instagram, X, Twitter. And like this film, we're trying to start something here. We're having some fun, but the easiest way for you to help us out, help me out, is to subscribe and like all these videos. We're going to be giving film breakdown, injury updates, front office happenings, of course, game predictions and reactions with your daily dose of sarcasm, I am sure. So do me a favor, like this video while you're watching, subscribe so you can get all the notifications as well for when we put up our next video, which should be relatively soon here. We're going to start these longer videos versus just the TikTok shorts. Okay, let's get this thing rolling. Injury updates right now. For the Bills, we have designated out now this week for Sunday. Dion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, Terrell Bernard, and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel was actually placed on the IR. Dawkins was out with concussion. Spencer Brown, shoulder issue. I'm not 100% what's going on there, but he's not playing. Terrell Bernard banged up his elbow last week, a week and a half ago, so he's not playing. Questionable for the Bills, Dalton Kincaid, Joshua Palmer, and Mr. Tylan Grabel. Tylan Grabel, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Excuse me if I botched that. He was just actually raised up to active from the IR today, I believe, because of the two offensive tackles, Dion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, being out for the game. As far as the Steelers are concerned, Aaron Rodgers is a go. He's messing around with a left wrist, but he's a go. Joey Porter Jr. is also a go. However, Broderick Jones, starting offensive tackle, is out. I think that's going to be somewhat key for our pass rush. But we'll see. We'll get in a little bit later on with our keys to the game. And I do, like I said, think that Broderick Jones is somewhat important. Starting out with the keys. Number one, with the offensive tackles both being out, Alec Anderson, Ryan Vandermark are most likely to be in with Mr. Grabel. Does this mean that the Bills are going to try to run the football versus allow these or ask these two backup offensive tackles or three to pass protect for Josh Allen. It could. Obviously, offensive linemen will tell you that they'd rather, most likely, most of them would rather rush block and just get out, try to bang some heads, move some bodies versus the technique and the balance to which it will take for pass, to pass block. However, I don't know that this is the game to just rush heavy, run heavy with James Cook and the backfield with Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. I don't think this is the game. And the reason I say that is because the Steelers have literally the worst pass defense in the NFL. And the Steelers defensive coordinator, Teryl Austin, said just a few days ago that they're going to be looking to stop James Cook. Because, he says, if they stop James Cook, and I'm paraphrasing, but if they stop James Cook, they're essentially stopping Josh Allen and not allowing Josh Allen to do what he does best, which is working off of the run game with play action, getting out of the pocket, scrambling, seeing things downfield. So I'm looking for the Bills to maintain the run game, stick with the rush attempts throughout the game, not just completely abandon it. But I think that we can pick the Steelers apart in the air and more specifically in the middle of their defense. First actual key for the Bills to take down the Steelers this Sunday: pass efficiently and in the middle of the field. I'm going to give and show some examples of what it is that I'm speaking about. But I'm going to start off with the Steelers, who are the 31st team in the NFL when it comes to pass yards given or allowed per game. Dead last. They're second in time to throw. They're fifth in sacks, and they're 25th in target separation. There's a pretty big disparity there. So you're dead last in yards given up, almost last, only fifth from the bottom in target separation, meaning the separation between the defender and the receiver when the ball gets to said receiver. So they allow separation on the targeted throws, and they allow the most pass yards in the NFL. Sandwiched in there in the mix here, they're the second best when it comes to the shortest window or the shortest time that they allow the quarterbacks to throw the football between the snap and when they can release the ball without getting touched or hurt or hit. And they're fifth in total sacks. So to me, it's feast or famine. If they are getting their solidified rush in a place that they want it, and the offensive line is not protecting the quarterback, it either ends in a sack or it ends up someone being wide open in the event that a quarterback is able to get to his first, second, or third progression. They can find someone. They have been finding a receiver that is relatively open in comparison to the rest of the league, and they're able to find that said receiver. So pass efficiently, get to the middle of the field. Let's start here with an example. We're going to bring up one example of just last week, Steelers and Bears. I want to take a look at two separate items here, okay? My key for Josh Allen is to get back out quickly, okay? Get the ball out quickly. Not get back. Get the ball out quickly, as the Pittsburgh Steelers allow the most yards after reception in the NFL. So not only do they allow the most passing yards, but it's mainly because they allow the most yards after reception, yards after catch. Here's an example of where the middle of the field is ending up against the Bears last week. You see they have just a standard 11-man set, two on the top, one on the bottom in terms of the receivers. Little motion, play action, pause it here. Take a look at the middle of that field already. Just see what you're seeing in the middle of the field. You got your linebacking crew and your defensive line. They bit on this play action, as you'll notice here. And what's going to happen is Caleb Williams immediately swings his head around. Look at the middle of the field. Look at that in almost a deep slant route by 10 here. Look at that zone. This is not a sit in the pocket for 3-4 seconds and pick the ball downfield. That's a quick turnaround. He was aggressive with his throw right in the middle of the field. This is something that's very important, in my opinion, for the Bills to remain consistent and steady throughout the game on Sunday and come home with a victory. All right, here's another example again last week against the Chicago Bears. Same defense that the Steelers continuously run, whether it be a 4-3, 4 down linemen, 3 backers, or even 5 down linemen, 2 backers. That's generally the way that they start. That's generally how many people they have in the box. It's almost always on the button with 7, just a different variation from time to time. Another example of the middle of the field. If we have Dalton Kincaid, I think we're going to be able to attack just like this here. You see your 4 down, your 3 backers. You have a deep safety and a second one dropping, 2 deep. And look at this, just a standard seam route. No play action here. There was no motion, I don't believe. Standard seam route. Those backers are going to sit about 8 to 10 yards generally, deep as far as the line of scrimmage is concerned. Kalen Williams looks off this deep safety and then fires the ball right into this enormous pocket that the Steelers continuously, when I watch film, seem to leave open. Great ball, great play here by the Bears. Again, I think this is Dalton Kincaid territory or Gabe Davis. Let's get Gabe some slot options. I know he's not your typical slot guy. He's usually used in the outside. Khalil Shakir is generally our slot man. Brandon Cooks, I don't know where he's going to fall into the mix here, but I think any one of our receivers, quite frankly, can run this route and be effective. This is just, just a standard seam. No trickery here. Base defense, standard seam. This went for, let's see, I don't know, 20 yards, give or take. I'm going to show another example here also, but I want to talk for a moment about the progression, okay? We'll show this next one from a couple of weeks back earlier in the year that's going to play into the pressure that we're talking about that the Steelers can get onto the quarterback and how good they are at sacking the quarterback. It's quite frankly, I think their number one attribute as a football team is sacking the quarterback. But there are ways to keep that pressure off of Josh Allen just long enough for him to be able to take his progressions. And if it's not the first option, get to your second or your third receiver and still get enough time. I'm going to show you here. All right, this is against the Seattle Seahawks a few weeks back. We got a jumbo here. You'll see 2 defensive ends, two tight ends. Receiver goes in motion. That might even be a fullbacks. Play action. We're going to pause it. What happens is this tight end that was in motion is staying in the backfield to help contain that pass rush. Look at the middle of this field again. Now, this is play action. Overall for the year, the Steelers are actually relatively decent. They're one of the best. Let's be honest. They're one of the best defenses against play action. However, this works out when you eat that middle of the field. You keep your protection in there. Keep it heavy with your protection. You see 88 here, swings down the line. And I believe if we were to go back, I believe the Steelers might even been blitzing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they got a bunch of people rushing here. So you can pick up that blitz. You don't need to have 5 receivers out in the, in routes like the Bills tend to do. We're going to have to keep the protection in the pocket to help Josh Allen. And this is what we can do. Middle of the field. This happened to have been play action, but middle of the field is a weak spot for those Steelers. I really think we need to attack that. And I'm hoping, I really am. I am hoping that Dalton Kincaid is playing because that's where he lives. That's where he lives. And I'd like to see Gabe Davis in there as well. Strong hands, big body, eat those yards. Now, Gabe Davis is not necessarily the yard after the catch guy that the Steelers tend to give up a lot, but I'll take 15, 18 yards and fall down if it's consistent enough, right? It doesn't have to be yards after the catch. I don't care where they come from. But because they do give up yard for catch, if Khalil were in these situations, who's our number one yard after the catch guy and one of the top in the NFL, might be a recipe for disaster. I think we have some options here. And I got to be honest, I think Keon Coleman might be playing. I think he's going to be active. That's just my take. I think he's going to be on the field, and I think he can actually produce against a defense like this. Obviously, we shall see, right? We shall see. Okay, so I want to talk next step here. All right, next step. With those chip blocks, with that protection, additional protection, where are we going to get it from? We might run some heavy. They might want to run some heavy 12, even 13-man personnel. Maybe this is a big game for Jackson Hawes staying in and pass protecting. Dawson Knox chipping and releasing because he's not the biggest reception threat, so it might throw them off a bit if he stays in, chips J.J. Watt, then releases down the middle, flat, hook, curl zones. That might be an option as well. Either way, I think the middle of the zone is going to be open. But I'm going to show you one more example here of giving additional protection for Josh Allen. Okay, let me throw this up. It's against the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns are obviously not an offensive juggernaut. Okay, let's just be honest here. But I want to show you. I'm sorry, this is the Cincinnati Bengals. And we had a clip of Cleveland before. Watch what happens here. We're going to send 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5-2. Okay, J.J. Watt's in this circle. I want to show you how they're picking up this pass rush and what that can lead to in the event that you give Josh Allen time. Because remember now, this is Joe Flacco. Okay, this is not somebody that's nimble. This is not somebody that's making plays longer. He's not extending any plays here. Watch the running back. Stay in. You see J.J. Watt here. He gets chipped first, okay? He gets chipped, and that diverts him back to the interior of the line, completely takes him out of the play. I meant to say the chip block by the tight end. I'm sorry, I said running back. And here it goes, T. Higgins. Look at this jumbled up mess in the center. T. Higgins literally has a crosser, and because Joe Flacco has so much time, he then reroutes himself up the sideline. The play gets blown up because Jalen Ramsey, one of the deep safeties, as you'll see on the top of the screen, I believe, yeah, he follows this deep post pattern because they're not supposed to have that much time to throw the football. All it took, we go back here, all it took was a little chip from the tight end. He barely even touched him. Look at this. Look at JJ. He literally barely got touched, and he completely strafed to his left and goes into the back of his two interior defensive linemen. That's all that's needed. Not that difficult. Even Kincaid can do that and still get out into the reception area and still go out for his route and his pattern. But Joe Flacco, he didn't move but 3 yards in what seemed like 27 seconds. And there's a 25, whatever it is, 30-yard touchdown. This is what our guys can do. If we can get broken plays like this and Josh Allen can get some protection, where I think the broken plays come from is Brandon Cooks. I think with his experience and playing with some pretty darn good quarterbacks in his career, he can understand what the quarterbacks are looking for when plays get broken up, and he can find open space, just like T. Higgins did here. Now, obviously, it was a great pass, great ball. Most NFL quarterbacks should be able to make that throw. There was no pressure. He was not under duress. Pretty simple, in my opinion. But, again, just another example of what we can do to keep their pass rush at bay. After we get past the pass rush, if it does not turn out to be a sack, whoa, boy, turn it up. Turn it up, because that's how the Steelers have given up so many yards. Key number 2. The Steelers like to blitz. Steelers defense blitzes. Okay, they will continue to blitz Sunday. I don't think they're going to stop. They blitz the 9th most in the NFL at 31.2% of all snaps on defense. Of all plays when on defense. You beat the blitz with extra help. You're not going to beat the blitz with our 5 offensive linemen that we have rolling out here this week, especially with our 2 starting Pro Bowl-esque offensive tackles who are not going to be playing this week. So you're not going to beat them straight up with a 5-man pro like we saw against the Texans. Hell, they beat us without blitzing. Play action doesn't necessarily work against this team. They're one of the better defenses against play action, but I will say this, they give up 90-plus passing yards a game off of their blitz. Obviously, if you run blitz scheme 31% of all dropbacks, you're going to give up the majority or a decent chunk of your yardage off of blitz, but 90-plus pass yards off of the blitz. Get the ball out. Give Josh Allen help with the extra man, the chip blocks, keeping a running back in the mix. I think Ray Davis could even see a much higher snap count than normal. He's very good at picking up the blitz. Big body, strong dude. Maybe he can see some more playing time. Reggie Gilliam with a two-back set. I'm not opposed to that either, but give Josh Allen time. Let the guys work against this Pittsburgh secondary and linebacking crew because they are susceptible to giving up big plays and often, obviously, as we've noted. So replace the blitz with the football, okay? Wherever the blitz comes, this is 101, but wherever the blitz comes from, throw the football in that direction. Get it out quick, trust your receivers, get them in their yard after catch zone, which the Steelers give up more yard after catch than any team in football. That's imperative. So if you blitz as much or more than 20 of the 32 teams and you give up yard after catch, that's a recipe. Get rid of the football. I know we don't love this. We'd love to see Josh Allen chucking the thing 35, 50, 60 yards downfield. I don't care how far the ball goes in the air as long as it's successful. Okay, if we're completing drives, whether they're long 10, 12 play, 6, 7, 10-minute drives, or they're 7-play, 80-yard, 4-minute drives, I don't care. End in touchdowns, be consistent, run with it. I'm only simply saying that they should get the ball out quick, and these should be on the money, hooks, slants, ins, not so much long, deep digs, but ins. Maybe, I'm not a huge fan of this mesh concept or this double China that we're running, which seems to be 80% of the time. But get the ball out. Let these guys work. Now, where we can also get rid of the football relatively quickly, if we can disguise this, Steelers have been kind of 50-50 when it comes to their defense of screenplays. And we obviously know that the Buffalo Bills enjoy their screen game, but I'm not talking about the bubble screens and the wide receiver screens as much as I'm talking about tight end screens, running back screens. If they're going to be sending the house, which they do relatively often, and they have 7, 8 men in the box, and they're going to be sending 7 people, if used and worked properly, screen games can really exploit that. You're putting a lot of pressure on the back end of your defense. If you're going to send 7 or 8 people flying after the football, flying after the quarterback, and a screen can just pop right around you, chip, let those offensive linemen kind of work their way down, dump the ball either through those rushers or over the top of them, you're going to have a lot of room to run. Again, run after catch. I'm going to keep saying it. Run after catch is one of the kryptonites of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think the screen game could also be a big way to handle the Pittsburgh Steelers blitz. Last thing on the blitz, before we move on to the third key. Last thing on the blitz. Running the football could certainly be explosive against a blitz. I know it's not technically considered a blitz, maybe depending on which statistical metrics you look at, but it's only a blitz when it's against the pass. But I'm saying if there's 7 guys coming, if James Cook, it can be afforded even a sliver of room in that line, and there's 7 men, 7 defenders up on that line of scrimmage, and he has even a foot and a half. We've all seen James Cook. He takes 50-yard carries to the house on not even a doorway width, not even. So although blitz, you would think, is covering up every gap and then some, it doesn't take much for an explosive run off of the blitz. And James Cook is as good as any of them out there of finding a terribly small hole that my body wouldn't even fit in, let alone James Cook sneaking through at maximum velocity, making one hard cut, and there he goes. He's done that multiple times over the last few years. That could come into play without question. And their defense, quite frankly, is 25th in the NFL when it comes to stuff rate. Stuff rate meaning the offensive rush attempt at the line of scrimmage or before, meaning no gain or a loss of yardage. Only 14.3% of the time does that Steelers defense, even with their blitz rate, does that Steelers defense stuff against the run. So what I think the Bills need to do when it comes to their rush game is just contain themselves as far as getting your 4 or 5 yards. We don't need any crazy trickery, although James Cook busting one for 60, I'm going to be just okay with. But I'd rather not get overzealous and just take what's given to you, even in the run game. Stay consistent, stay methodical. I'm not talking about 25 to 30 rushes for James Cook, but what I'm talking about, get your 4 to 5 yards. That's what you do. That's what they give up. Okay? Just take your 4 to 5 yards and always be ahead of the chains on Sunday. Stay ahead of the chains and allow that passing attack to do its thing. Third key to success, we have 4 of them. Stop their rush and make tackles. I'm going to put those together. Stop the Steelers' run game and tackle the darn guy with the football, please. We have to be more consistent with tackling the football, okay? We just haven't been, and that needs to change, and I'm going to say it needs to change now. Now, the Steelers are not the best run offense on the face of the planet. They don't even average 100 yards per game. What they do, though, is they run over 58% of the time outside of the tackles. And what that does to me, what that says to me, is that's where they like to live. And that kind of plays into the Bills' strengths, if I'm being honest. Although Deone Walker, I think, is an absolute stud. He can't play every down, and he's only one man. He gets doubled early and often, and he does a great job. He's a stuffer, and he's a game changer, quite frankly. And interior defensive linemen don't get a lot of credit usually unless there's some huge name that tends to sack the quarterback often. But Deone Walker is having a phenomenal rookie season, in my opinion. However, the strength that I'm talking about is Greg Rousseau, okay? Being that the Steelers run the ball almost 60% of the time outside the tackles, which is 5th in the NFL, by the way. Okay, so that's as much as almost anybody in the league. Being that they do that often, Greg Rousseau, although he's an edge rusher, and we grade edge rushers by QB pressures, sacks, strip fumbles, sack fumbles. What they usually don't speak about, when I say they, I mean the media and all of us on social media, is how good or bad of a run stopper an edge rusher actually is. And according to PFF, Rousseau is ranked 1 when it comes to rush defense for edge rushers in the NFL. I mean, an 8th overall, by the way, for all edge rushers. He only has 3 sacks, but he's playing really well. When you watch film, when you watch the tape, he's stopping the run. He is getting pressures. He's not ending up with sacks at this moment in time. I think there's a lot of other variables and determining factors when it comes to the sacks. However, he's playing great. And if they're going to run the ball, I'd rather them run outside at this moment. Run right into Greg Rousseau. That's fine. We need him to step up and have a continuously good game, just like he has been throughout the year, but we need him to have a good game stopping the run. There will be, there may or may not be attempts to sack Aaron Rodgers because he gets the ball out faster than anybody. I think his average air yards is like 5. It's by far the worst in the NFL, but he gets the ball out quicker than anybody. He's an old man. He's nervous. His wrist is banged up. I don't even know if he's going to be able to hold the football. Saw a clip of him in practice throughout this week. I don't think that he could hold the football with his left hand only, with this contraption he was wearing. He might not be wearing it Sunday. Quite frankly, he probably isn't. But I think that will be a factor. And if they get after him once early and put a licking on him, I think we're going to see Mason Rudolph. That's my take. But he gets the ball out quick. Okay, so sacks might not be a thing. Stop the run. Stop their run. Make tackles. Let's show an example here. Okay, this is against the Patriots. The Patriots obviously have pretty good rush defenses earlier in the year. Take a look at what we got. Jumbo set. Okay, the Steelers will run a lot of big boy sets. They're not freakishly athletic on the outside. This is what they like to do. Although they only rush the ball for 95 yards a game, they throw a lot of 2-3 tight end looks out there. Let's take a look at this example. Watch this defensive end. This is what we can't do. Speaking of Greg Rousseau, I'm just going to stop this for a second. I'm going to piggyback onto Greg Rousseau stuff in the run, but this is the secondary part of this is we cannot over pursue. We cannot over commit. Do your 111th like the guys all speak about. Know your role for that play. Know your responsibility and what you need to do for that play. And as far as our ends go, Joey Bosa has been torched this year more times than I would like to count by diving down the line of scrimmage, whether it's on a play action or even an option, a quarterback option. He has been torched. Joey, I need you to stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You're not going to create some hero play one but 50 times. What you can't do is just tower down the line of scrimmage and just leave this open. Because, again, they like to run the football outside the tackles. Take a look. This is no good on the defensive end. This is what Joey Bosa cannot do. Nor can Greg Rousseau, for that matter, or A.J. Epinesa, but we cannot see this. Take a look. Okay. This is going up the A-gap. This is an halfback dive, but where the heck did that defensive end go? Where did he go? Well, man, did he get caught up. And watch, they get this seal. Okay, look at this lane. I mean, it's a great job by Gainwell here. I'm confident that James Cook, and there's quite a few running backs in the league to make it, but this is a great vision, great cut. And then look at 76. There's such a mess that 76 says, I'm out. I'm out. There's such a tangled up web in here in the middle that I am headed out, boys. Let's go. Let's go, Gainwell. Come with me. And then you got this one block where the wide receiver, good block by 19 there on the defensive back. And there you go. That's 12 yards. That's literally a halfback dive, pretty plain and simple halfback dive that then turns into an outside the tackle rush. Okay. That's because that defensive end did not do his job in containment. We cannot over pursue. Speaking of over pursuing and doing their jobs in the run game, with Terrell Bernard out, Shaq Thompson, I don't know if you heard him. He's on, One Bills Live, or I'm sorry, no, not One Bills Live. He's just getting interviewed by the social media team for the Buffalo, and he's been in and out this year. He's been kind of a spark. He's an older dude, but he's been fantastic. One of the top, I think, 15 out of 84 linebackers with PFF grade this year. Hasn't played that many snaps. He's healthy. He's in. Terrell Bernard is out. He says, I'm going to equate the run game to protecting I'm paraphrasing. I'm going to equate the run game to protecting my home. Meaning, it's all about desire and energy and what will you do? Your effort to protect your home. If someone is breaking into your home, you're going to do whatever it takes. It's a mentality. It's a way of thinking. It's a frame of mind. Protect your home at all costs. He's saying that the Bills are going to transfer that onto the football field when it comes to stopping the run. If we allow ourselves to get bullied, beat up, out physicaled, and thrown and tossed around, we didn't protect our home. The intruders are the offensive linemen and the running backs, and we own our space. We need not let that happen. Take that for what it's worth, but to come out there and say that for somebody that hasn't played that much all this year, I'm going to take it positive, and I'm going to say, let's roll, Shaq. Let's roll, baby. Get in there and stop these two boys, because if you stop these two guys, Warren and Gainwell, I'll put the house up that Aaron Rodgers ain't going to beat you. I mean, I'm sorry, but I will. Aaron Rodgers is not going to beat you. Our secondary has really come into form. I will not allow anyone to tell me that Aaron Rodgers can single-handedly beat the Buffalo Bills. So stop the run, like we said, and make tackles. You're going to be just fine. So that was a little sprinkles from Shaq Thompson to be a spark. Fly around and make some plays, would you? Stuff the run. Okay, we're going to show another example here also. Oh, before I do, so the Steelers actually, this is the second half of it. Stop the rush by making tackles. The Steelers produce 3.34 yards after contact on average. Okay. That's quite scary when you take a look into the Bills' defense giving up 4.3 yards after contact, which is, by the way, dead last in the NFL, which I think we probably all know. Our rush defense is 31st, dead last. Our rush, first. Rush defense, 31st. So again, we're playing this seesaw game. How well can we stop them versus how well can we do our thing? That's what is remained to be seen. But keep in mind that we are the last at giving rush yards past contact, initial contact, and they are 3.3. I think they're top 10. I think it's top 10. So we're going to show another example of Cincinnati Bengals again. Now they play these guys twice a year, so I got to watch quite a few examples of the Cincinnati Bengals. Another 2 tight end set, 12-man here in motion, and almost might even be their third tight end who's lining up as a receiver. That might have been Freiermuth. I can't tell. So base defense here from Cincinnati, right? 4-3. Okay, relatively standard. Take a look at the linebackers. I want to show you. Look at all these double teams. There would be Deion Walker. There would be Greg Rousseau. There would be Daquan Jones. And on the other side, maybe the single man would be Joey Bosa. I'm using that as an example if this was the Bills, okay, out on the field right now. Milano, Thompson, and possibly Dorian Williams over on the right side, 42, with maybe Cole Bishop. That would be my guess, 23, depending on where the line is set. I'm sorry, the receivers are set. Look at those double teams that they take, and look what they do against the double teams. And then the linebackers shoot their gaps. They play their 111th. They shoot their gaps. And what that causes is absolutely nowhere to go for Mr. Warren. Where's that guy gone? Okay. Where's he going? Absolutely nowhere. So just like we saw Gainwell against the Patriots on the play before, get stuffed in the A gap and immediately bounce to his right for 12 yards around the outside. What did this defensive end not do? Forgive me, I don't know his name. 96 on the left side of I think it's 96. Yep, watch 96. What doesn't he do? He doesn't over pursue. He doesn't fly downfield, down the line of scrimmage, and leave nothing over here. Okay, he stays in his lane. He does his 111th, and then this corner or strong safety plays his contain, stays outside, doesn't crash down too much because that's where the run is headed, stays in his lane where this circle is right here. Warren bounces out and has nowhere to go. This might be 1 yard. This might be -1. But I noticed this and I said, damn, like perfection. Perfection, in my opinion, from the Bengals. Look at that. Double, double, double. 2 of these linemen have to then peel off to get the linebackers who are obviously feeding into their gaps based on the handoff, going after the ball, trying to put a helmet on the ball. But 23 doesn't. 23 doesn't fly too much, man. He's sitting in his zone. The defensive end is sitting where he needs to. Everybody's staying contained in their gap. I love this. This is great football. Sean McDermott, I hope you'll watch this. Babich, I hope you're watching this. This is how we play football. You can't tell me that the Cincinnati Bengals have a better roster on the defensive side than the Buffalo Bills because they don't. This is fantastic football. This is getting people to do what they need to do. Seeing it, reacting, not overreacting, not over-pursuing, not over-committing. Just do your job, and this will be just fine for us on Sunday. Getting a little worked up on that one. But I love this play. There's no reason the Bills can't do this all day. Seriously, all day. They had 12 set. Didn't they? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They had 7 linemen. I mean, it's mismatches all day. Double teams on every defensive line, with the exception of the one edge rusher on the weak side. I mean, this is perfection. And even though he's only singled on that side, 42 is filling his gap, and it probably would have, maybe they would have got an extra yard and a half. I don't know. This is absolute perfection. I love it. I absolutely love this. So contain your edge, Greg Rousseau, Joey Bosa especially. Greg Rousseau, just keep doing what you're doing. Joey Bosa needs to contain his edges. And then we need to make tackles, okay? We are not tackling people that have the football in their hands very well this year. So 23, if he gets out here after this bounce and he misses this tackle, well, there's a lot of room to Warren's right side in between him and that sideline. You're probably going 8 yards. He makes one guy miss. You know, this number 27, this safety here, corner. If he makes him miss after that broken tackle, then you're talking to the crib. And that's what's been happening. We missed this initial effort, and then they make one guy miss in the backfield, and they're gone. They're gone. That cannot happen. So we have to tackle, have to keep our commitment, and have to understand our 111th. Do your job. That was key number 3. On to key number 4. This is not a good thing. We have to win the turnover battle. Okay? I know this is nothing new. We've all heard about it, talked about it. It's been on every outlet, every media that you can possibly think of. Last year, the Bills led the NFL in turnover margin with a plus 24, by the way. Plus 24, meaning, for those of you that might not know, they turned the ball over 24 less times than the teams that they were playing turned the ball over to them. So they created 24 more turnovers than they gave up throughout the season. That was number 1 in the NFL by 8, by the way. Number 2, the second place, was 16 in the positive. This year, we're minus 2 total. We have coughed up the football to the other team 2 more times than they have to us. In our 4 losses, we've turned the ball over 11 times. I say we. I'm not part of the Bills organization. They want to pay me? Sure, I'll take that job. But in our 4 losses, we've turned the ball over 11 times. In our 7 wins, we've turned the ball over 4 times. 3 of which were in one game. So 6 of our wins, we've turned the ball over once. 1 of our wins, we turned the ball over 3 times. And in the 4 losses, we've turned it over 11 stinking times. And it's everybody's fault. Okay? It's not just Josh Allen. Now, he's a big part of it, no question. Big part of it. But it's not just him. We're also coughing up the football, putting it on the ground as well, which is no good. Okay? Not only do we just not want it, we can't have it because, like we just showed, when we turn the ball over at the rate that we have been, we lose football games. So it's not the best thing, but it's real. The Steelers don't turn the ball over. Okay? They just simply don't. The Steelers, let me see here, are 4th in differential at plus 8 right now in the NFL, and they only have 12 turnovers. They only have 12 turnovers as a whole. So they lead the league in fumble returns, forced fumbles with 11. 11. Part of that turnover margin, part of these keys are don't cough the ball up. Not only can we not throw it to the guys in white, black, and yellow, but we can't throw it on the ground before we get touched or tackled either. In layman's terms, simplicity. I think, and this is probably asking a lot, but if we get 2 turnovers and we don't turn the ball over, it's a win. It's a win. I don't see any world that we go plus 2 and lose. That's not easy though, because like we said, the Steelers really don't cough the football up. They average maybe 1 a game. So I think 2-0, definite win. If it's 1-0, still a win if we can make sure that these other things that we've been talking about have been checked. These boxes have been checked. But, that remains to be seen. When we turned over the football 3 times against Tampa Bay, which we did, 2 interceptions and 1 fumble, I believe is what it was. 3 turnover game. But we put up by far, well, with the exception of Baltimore in week 1, we put up the most points on offense than we have this year. When you put up 44 points, you can turn the ball over a few times. Okay. When you put up 13, 20, 17, 24, you can't turn the ball over 3 times in the NFL. You just can't. So I'm okay with 1 or 2 turnovers if we're going to put up 40 points. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be close, though. I actually think we're going to score between 30 and 35 points. But if you put up that many points on the scoreboard, you're allotted the ability to turn the ball over because every other possession at that moment, you're putting up 7. Not only are you not settling for field goals, you're not punting the football. You're not just playing the field position game, which we're not really too good at that, to be honest with you. So that can't be part of the Bills' DNA on Sunday, and it has been all year, so there's no reason to try to start that now. Field possession is just not in our wheelhouse, okay? Turn the ball over 3 times, you better put up 40 points, but you can. So it depends on what they're going to do. If they're going to try to run the ball 25 times, 27 times, have long 8-minute possessions, squeak out the possessions as long as we can, you better not turn the ball over at all. Because the longer your possessions and the more or the lesser amount of chances that you have in terms of drives, possessions, the more important each individual one of those possessions becomes. When you're ripping the ball 25 yards at a clip, it seems, through the air, as some teams in the NFL do, and the Bills have had their games where they've done that as well, it almost seems like you have more more opportunities with possessions. So when you score quick and you're just hitting home runs and everything's flowing, yeah, you're going to make one bad pass and it's going to go to the other team, and okay, fine, because we know that we're going to take the next possession and run down their throat, whether it be handing it off or throwing it, doesn't matter, and we're going to put up 7 points. My family and I were at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game 2 weeks ago, and, well, maybe 3 weeks ago. And for the first time in a long time, not just because we were there, but because of the way the game was going and how the Bills' offense was firing on all cylinders, for the first time in a long time, even when Josh did throw an interception, I remember looking at my son, who's 11, by the way, and saying, you know what? I don't even care. I don't care because I'm that confident that we're going to run down the field and put up 7 points again. And when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored, it was kind of back and forth, like all game, really, until midway through the fourth. Every time the Bucs scored, because they scored 32 points themselves, okay, it was fine. No big deal. Give us the ball. We'd rather just have the ball anyways. It's more fun when we have the ball. We can do crazy things. Josh Allen can be human, non-human and alien, and just keep moving. I mean, you don't get into that zone very often. The Bills seem to have done it almost the latter half of last year, scoring 30 points a game, but they're not that way right now. It happened once this year, with the exception of the second half of the first game of the year against the Ravens, and maybe a little bit against the Panthers. You can kind of say that. But other than that, it doesn't really happen. So my point is, make that short. Don't turn the ball over, okay? We're going to close this thing out. And again, I'm going to go back to, if you guys are still here, I really appreciate you, all right? Starting this Cold Front Buffalo thing up. We're going to start doing some longer stuff. I love football. I love paying attention to it. I love trying to understand what's going on. I love watching film. Do have an athletic background. Did play professional baseball, in college baseball. Was recruited out of high school to play football, but I thought I was going to be the next Roger Clemens and make $20 million a year throwing a baseball. That obviously didn't work. Now we're talking football. Always loved football. It was one of my favorites. Hindsight 2020, I probably should have pursued that, but I didn't. Anyways, love this game. Appreciate all of you that have stuck out to the end of this. Only a couple more minutes. I just want to talk about Josh Allen for a few minutes. Josh Allen, does he have trust issues? those are my keys are over with. This is not a key. This is just me kind of ranting and speaking openly, and hopefully people will comment their thoughts about this topic. Josh Allen seems to have run into trust issues. I'd really like to see him start throwing to his guys, letting the ball rip. Trust your people. Trust yourself. His average target separation is second most in the NFL. So when he throws to a receiver, they are open by more distance than every team in the NFL except for one. What does that tell me? It's not because of an enormous amount of talent that he has in his wide receiver room. And they're just open all the time. Every one of them, they're just open. No matter who he picks, wide open, throw it there, open, throw it over there, open. No. To me, it means that he's not throwing the football to someone that is kind of open if it's the first or second read, because he doesn't trust either himself or that receiver. Now, just to put this into perspective, okay, more than a half a yard separates him and Matt Stafford and Dak Prescott and their average target to separation. A half of a yard, a foot and a half. You're talking a pretty big distance when it comes to NFL wide receivers being open or not. An additional half of a yard separates him with Matthew Stafford, who right now is almost running away with the MVP race, right? And Dak Prescott, who just beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Cowboys might be one of the better teams in the NFL all of a sudden. So just using those two guys as an example, 0.4 yards more than Drake May, who's also having a hell of a season. Can't take anything away from the guy. I don't like the Patriots at all, but it's reality. Maybe he's gun shy. For whatever reason, he's not doing it, okay? He's not doing it. When you play scared, you tend to make more mistakes than when you don't play scared, believe it or not. That's just coming from me, who did play professional baseball. High-level athlete at one point, long time ago. If you play scared, you're afraid to lose, you actually tend to make more mistakes. Versus when you just play open and free and, I don't want to say careless, because that's a terrible word. Like not caring, oh yeah, sure, just go make mistakes, it's no big deal. No. When you're confident in yourself and you're not playing to lose, you're going out to win the game, making aggressive plays, you tend to actually make less mistakes. And I think that whatever the reason is, I don't know, but Josh is gun shy, and it's forcing him into taking more sacks, to throwing some weird balls, weird decisions lately. I don't say lately, sporadically amongst the season. He's running himself into sacks, which he never really did, because he's not throwing to people that are somewhat open. He's waiting for someone to be wide open. Hence, having the most separation per target of anyone in the NFL, with the exception of one team, second. They're second. He's second. See the read, trust your guys, and let it rip, dude. Let it rip, Josh Allen. I hope there's no injury. A couple weeks ago, I actually put a post out. I was looking at his mechanics, and I thought they were off. They didn't look like Josh Allen to me. So I started watching some film from the last few years and this year. He obviously changed his release point over the years on purpose. But even in years past, it looked very odd to me. I thought he was hurt. He might still be hurt. He had this bursitis thing. He had these like hex wraps on his elbow this week. I don't think that's anything, but if it is, you can come back to me. I was the first one to call it about a month and a half ago. I hope he's not, but he could be. Could be that. But let the ball rip. You got one of the best arms to ever play football, arguably. Right now, he throws into a tight window 11.9% of the time. A tight window, by definition, is less than 1 yard of separation from the wide receiver to the defensive player when the ball arrives. So 11.9% of the time, he is throwing to someone that has a defender within 1 yard or less of him. Okay? That's fourth lowest in the NFL. This is very telling. Fourth lowest. Last year, he was 12th most at 16.8%. So at a 16.8% clip, he was firing the ball into his receivers that had a defender within a yard of them. This year, It's almost 5% less. Going 12th most to 4th lowest. He literally has arguably the best arm to ever play the quarterback position. And he's gun shy about firing a ball in to someone that has a defender within a yard of him. That's 12 weeks worth. That's not just a small sample. That's not 1 or 2 weeks. That's 12 weeks worth of football. Let it rip, brother. Josh Allen, we trust you. The entire city of Buffalo trusts you. All of Bills Mafia trusts you. Cold front Buffalo Mafia. Trust the hell out of you, Josh. Trust yourself. Trust your boys. Let it rip. Gaby's back. Gaby Davis is back. I know you trust him. Now you got a veteran wide receiver, Brandon Cooks. Trust your boys. Trust them. Joe Brady. Push your way to victory, my friend. You have the best quarterback on the planet, as we just said. A freak, an alien, a superhuman thing. I don't even know what to call him most of the time. Use the dang guy. Stop trying to get cute. You're not fooling anyone. With end arounds to Dawson Knox. I love you too, Dawson, but you're not fast. You're not elusive. You're not fleet-footed like you used to be. Not like these guys that take end arounds, at least. You know, these 4-3 guys. That's not you. So, Joe Brady, stop thinking that you're fooling someone doing that. Please. Please. You're not fooling anyone. Some 360 counter reverse handoff to Khalil Shakir in the A-gap on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. You're not fooling anybody. Stop that. Stop it right now. Pound the rock. Get the ball out quick. And stop overthinking it. Be the Bills. Be Buffalo. And let's roll. Recap. Efficient pass game. Quick release. Middle of the field against their defense. Number 1. Handle their blitz with chip blocks and RB help. Contain with your bodies to keep the rush away from Josh Allen. Number 2. Contain their outside running game. Staying at home and contain. Don't over pursue. Do your 111th and tackle people. Number 3. And win the turnover margin. Number 4. That's going to do it, folks. I appreciate you from Cold Front Buffalo. Appreciate you all. Please like this video. Subscribe for more Bills coverage and NFL updates as well. Go Bills. Cold Front.